Good morning. Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell and Max Barr. We are Southeastern 16. We're here to talk SEC basketball from Tuesday night. We're here to look ahead to, 3 games on Wednesday. We had an almost triple-double. We had a dislocated shoulder. We had an SEC team getting a big win in Max's backyard. And ho-hum, the SEC went 8-0 again, which is just background noise at this point. Max Barr, let you start it off this morning. What caught your eye last night?
Well, what didn't catch your eye last night is the real question. We have, right, you said right in my backyard, what a game that was by the Gators. Proving the doubters wrong. You haven't played anyone. Shut up, says Todd Golden and the Gators. Look at us getting a big win on a neutral court in hostile territory. It's going to say neutral court, but my gosh, that was a pro Tar Heel crowd there. They were getting pretty rowdy in the second half there. Huge win for the Gators, but I would argue that was not even the biggest win of the night for the SEC, with the Gamecocks picking up a possibly season-changing win in overtime, shorthanded. What a game it was by Colin Murray-Boyles and the supporting cast there. Those two games, I mean, what a success for the SEC with those two right there.
Shout out to our guy Nathan, part of the It Just Means More tier at Southeastern 16. Oh. His Florida-South Carolina parlay hit last night. A great move by Nathan because, as Max said, there were some doubters about the Florida Gators. There were also some doubters about the South Carolina Gamecocks. However, yours truly was not one of those doubters, folks. The other two people you see on your screen, they were doubting. Father Lamont Paris, a history lesson is needed, folks. Let's go all the way back to the 23-24 season when these three schlubs you see on the screen here picked South Carolina to finish last in the SEC. South Carolina was in the regular season title hunt with a week to go in the season. And
you picked them last also.
No, that's what I said. I said us three schlubs. That's 1, 2, 3. That's all of us. But we started to learn our lesson as the season went along. We said, okay, we can't doubt Father Lamont Paris anymore. However, some of us have not, again, learned the lesson. And so, no, I mean, in all seriousness, what a win for South Carolina. A huge win, biggest win of the season. And now we're sitting here with the thought, every SEC team is in the top 85 in the net. South Carolina moved in the top 85. They moved up 15 spots last night after the win. South Carolina has moved up into I think they're 66th in KenPom, but, there is a world that exists outside of KenPom too. And, they're moving up in every metric you see pretty much after that win, as they should. But there is something else that's sitting out there that I'm not going to say because I don't want to put the jinx on it. But we will revisit this tease in about a week after we see what the results look like over some of these games the SEC should win. But I'm telling you, this is what you're seeing in front of you, folks. 152-20 in non-conference play for the SEC right now. Unbelievable.
Oh, I think Chris is frozen on us. I didn't even realize.
He's so impressed by South Carolina that he is just frozen in excitement, which we've all been there before. Let's not kid ourselves. But, all right, here's what we're going to do today, folks. If you're jumping in, super chats, throw them in there. Make sure we get to your comment. It Just Means More tier. Join that. We got a big announcement on something we got going on in the It Just Means More members only. We're announcing that in a little bit. We got a fun thing coming up for you guys. And we'll talk about everything else. Auburn dominated again. We'll talk about Johni Broome's injury. Tennessee dominated again. I mean, just we'll go down the line. But let's start with the Gators, Max. You mentioned we're going to go big win for Florida. They beat North Carolina. Florida now one of only, 4 unbeaten teams left? 3 of the 4 left standing. Unbeaten are in the SEC. Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma. Oklahoma plays tonight. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. That was because, who was it? UC, who won last night?
Utah State dropped a game.
UC San Diego. Yep.
Yes.
UC San Diego. Yep. All right, Gators. Thoughts on a 90-84 win in Charlotte?
Oh, talk about entertaining. That was a great, just overall, great game to to be entertained by if you're a neutral fan there. Starting out with the most important, okay, Tommy Hawk. Come on.
Our guy.
You knew I was going there. Plus 22 on the box score in only 20 minutes, and you win by 6, and you're plus 22. Holy smokes, Tommy was huge in that game. Blake, I know you're probably going to get to it, so I'll save you the Evan Mia stat on the 5-man lineup where Florida now sits.
Have they moved in?
Oh, do you
believe it or not? I have not checked this morning. I've not checked the 5-man lineups this morning. Very unusual for me to not wake up and first thing check Evan Mia's 5-man lineups, but I've not done it yet. So I'm going to let you break that news.
Florida currently has the number 2 most efficient 5-man lineup in the nation behind Auburn. Yes, it is the 3 guards, the Clayton, Martin, Richard, Condon, and Chinyelu. It might just be like a sample size thing why the Tommy Hawk lineup isn't in there yet.
Yeah.
I think it's a sample size thing, but that would be right up there. Florida, that 5, and it really doesn't drop off because of Denzel Aberdeen's development. Huge shots, Denzel last game. He just keeps getting better and better. And then Tommy. So Sam Alexis dropped out a little bit of the rotation a little bit. You're starting to see that kind of tighten up. But if that's the second most efficient 5-man lineup, Blake, you're not even talking about Tommy Hawk and Denzel Aberdeen. I mean, my gosh, Golden's got options here.
Yeah, I mean, I said that I thought the front court rotation would be interesting in a game like this, although we knew the guard play for North Carolina was going to be, the talking point just because of how good that, those guys have been, and you knew R.J. Davis would have to have a big game for this to be a game. Of course, Florida got off to a great start. And I think you probably knew at some point that North Carolina was gonna make that run. And I think again though, it's like North Carolina makes the run. They're up 4 at the under 4 or something like that. Timeout I think to go, and Florida finds a way to win the game. And I think that's just once again like I don't think, and sometimes we talk about it, but also we probably don't mention enough where it's one thing just to say all right, the SEC's winning all these games, but it's what's happening when they're winning these games is that confidence builds a little bit more each time. Every single time you find yourself in these scenarios. Now, again, Florida's not really been in this spot this year, and that's what I thought was even more impressive because they've just been blowing teams out. But finding themselves in a situation where you're down, you had a huge lead, all of a sudden North Carolina rallies, they got the momentum going into the final stretch run of the game, and yet it's Florida finding a way to make the plays and to win it. And, yeah, I mean, those 3 guys, Martin, Richard, Clayton, just, my goodness. And then our guy, Denzel Aberdeen. I think with Florida, remember, I think everything was sort of geared around 4 teams in the SEC, and everyone was like, well, is Florida really going to join the pack? Well, we said a couple weeks ago Florida has joined the pack, and I think very clearly now, I know North Carolina is not North Carolina of whatever. I mean, they're 6-5, right? But come on, that's still a great win for Florida. And I mean, yeah, like what else do you say about this team? They just keep winning games. I mean, and that's what matters. And look, they're gonna play North Florida on Saturday. Look out. We know what they've done to an SEC team before. But
the Ospreys.
And then they're gonna play Stetson the following Sunday, which I'll withhold my thoughts on them until we get to that LSU game in a little bit. But yeah, so the Gators setting up in a great spot. What a win, and their stock is rising without question.
We need to study this UNC team. I mean, this is an unbelievable trend of them going down by 15, 20 points every single game until they start playing. It is very weird how consistent this is. And then the second thing I wanted to say, this is not a knock. It's just a little trend that I'm noticing. I was looking at because the turnovers were a problem there in that second half. That's kind of how the North Carolina guards that pressure defensively on the perimeter got them back into the game there. Got to clean up some turnovers here. Florida's got a negative assist to turnover ratio in 3 games. Neutral against North Carolina, neutral against Wake Forest, and then at Florida State. Probably 3 of their tougher games. Those are the 3 times Florida's had a negative assist to turnover ratio. I want to see that get cleaned up a little bit, but boy, that is a real trying to like split hairs and find something there. Just a small trend I was finding.
All right. Before we get Chris's thoughts on the Gators, yes, SC Scout Guy. Chris is here. SC Scout Guy, as we know, the person who's always he's coming up with these conspiracy theories about Chris's whereabouts, and so he's always worried about you, Chris. But before we get there, Nathan said earlier, I think it was right about hitting the parlay on Florida and South Carolina. Max, and I'm wondering how much money Nathan won. Don't reveal, don't give us your street address or financial accounts or anything like that. But I'm wondering how much he won. You know why? Because, now I could be wrong here. Our friends at BetOnline, who we keep telling you is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting, because they have the earliest odds, in-game live betting. They provide you with all the action ability to watch games as they happen. They also have the largest selection of odds on everything for football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC. But, Max, here's what I'm wondering. Now, I can't confirm this, but I've heard a rumor that if you bet on all 8 SEC teams to win last night in a parlay, you would have won $6.8 billion. $6.8 billion, Max. I don't know if that's an official stat, but I'm pretty sure if you would have bet on all the SEC teams last night to win, I think the odds would have gotten you to $6.8 billion winner.
I was hearing similar numbers.
So my question is, why did you not do that? Because, come on, it's the SEC. It just means more. You keep winning. You could have been $6.8 billion richer if you went to our friends at BetOnline. Head there today. BetOnline today. Don't forget, use the promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. Folks, we got 3 games tonight. Better, hey, you could go, maybe it's $4.5 billion tonight. I don't know, but there's got to be some sort of combination out there that's going to get you in the billions, perhaps, winnings at BetOnline. You didn't hear that from him. You heard it from me. So, cannot confirm that, but that's just the rumor we've heard here. Just the rumor. So,
do we have more on the Gators?
I got a little something. And apologies.
Oh, boy.
My internet, I don't know what is going on. I think I have been down more the last 2 weeks than I was the entire year before that. So apologies if you guys went over this while I was rebooting the router. Will Richards kind of become their X factor? Because I feel like Clayton and Martin, they're stars. Everybody knows that. But like when he gives them a great game like he gave them last night, I feel like they are not unbeatable, because we got a few teams in this league that would give them a run for their money even when he's on. But when he is on, they are really, really, really tough.
Our very own, not our very own, but our close friend, Neil Blackman, tweet last night. Chris, you guys must have been on a telekinesis. I don't know if Will Richard is truly a wing player, but I know he's a hell of a basketball player, a senior team embracing his final season. Yep. That's right there. Will Richard.
I've just thought he's been one of the more super underrated guys in this league. And he's a guy, it's because he does a lot of things really well. He's efficient, but now he's kind of become more of a scorer for them a little bit in spots. And I guess he did it last year too, now that I look at it. But when he gives him 22 points and he misses 2 shots, I'm guessing the number of teams in the country that can beat them, you can probably count on one hand.
I agree.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think Florida's going anywhere. We talked about their tough start to SEC play at Kentucky, home against Tennessee, at Arkansas. They might win. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win all 3 of those games, but they might. I think they're that good, and I don't think we should look at this team anymore as what if Florida? How do they get to join the upper tier? They're in the upper tier. Florida, realistically, right now, and we talk about bracketology and all that other stuff. Don't worry, guys. We're going to start doing bracketology videos very soon, because last year we waited until mid-conference play, but this year everybody wants to know about the bracket projections right now, because everybody's looking at this and saying, all right, my team can be a top 2 seed. Well, yesterday, what was it? Lenardi had 3 SEC teams as number 1 seeds. He had Florida as a 3 seed, trending in the direction towards a 2 seed. Alabama was a 2 seed. So Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky were the 1s. And so, it's just like, I don't even know what else to add. That's where we are right now. So Florida is a team trending towards a 2 seed right now. And yeah, so like they're legit. I don't think we can just say anymore, hey, Florida's just, they've beaten up on teams they should beat up on. They have, but they're just good. Just watch them play. They're good at basketball, and that's what basketball is about. So, yeah.
I think this kind of sums up the league. I woke up this with like, I'm going to be interested to see who the last place team is in Ken Palm in this league. It's South Carolina, which beat Clemson last night. That's the league we are covering. And I get that, and for people that don't understand how it works, like the expectation built in was that I think Clemson was going to win the game by 2 or 3 points. So when South Carolina won it by whatever the final margin was, don't have it in front of me, it didn't move the needle in that rating a lot because it's designed to be predictive. But it's still quite a statement. I mean, it's unreal.
Well,
Yeah.
It's a statement with how they did it, right? It wasn't like they squeaked out a 3-point OT win and just stole a victory away from Clemson. I mean, they controlled the entire game. They led the entire game. Clemson's largest lead was 2 points this whole game, which came with 5 minutes left in the second half.
Well, I thought how both South Carolina and Florida won last night were impressive in their own ways because Florida controlled that whole game until R.J. Davis hit a heater in the second half, blew the lead. It's in North Carolina's backyard. I mean, not really, but Charlotte is – we knew who was going to have the home crowd advantage in that one. And to blow one and come back and hold on in that environment, I thought was – when Florida hasn't been tested a ton, was, I thought, impressive. South Carolina did this thing where it had the game basically won, has I think a turnover or two there, a banked in 3 at the buzzer, I think, of regulation. And that's a gut punch. You've got to recover quickly because you're playing ball again in 2 minutes. And so I thought to win one like that in a rivalry situation was impressive in its own right.
Blake, thoughts on the Gamecocks?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Gamecocks are, like we said, you put them in a situation too where it's people are, different than Florida because the Gators was sort of a prove it thing. And I know someone just asked, are we really looking at North Carolina as a good team right now? I said no, but I mean they're 6-5, so like their record is what it is. But like, are they more talented than the 6-5 team? Absolutely. Like, God, we can't kid ourselves. But yeah, I mean, is it a huge win on the resume? It's not a bad win if you look at the metrics for Florida. So I don't think we just completely ignore that idea. But for South Carolina, they had to have one of these because they were the team that was missing one of these right now. And really, we said it, right? Everybody else kind of had that win that we've talked about and said, hey, what a good win. We just hadn't had that with South Carolina. The only thing we looked at was, they had that bad loss on game 1, night 1 of the season. They just happened to have a couple possessions that didn't go their way, and they lose at home to North Florida. But, I mean, I think so for them to get this win, look, this is why we keep saying it, and people think it's absurd, but it is something where it is December the 18th. All 16 SEC teams still have a shot to make the NCAA tournament. They're not all going to make it. But all 16 teams are there because of this South Carolina win now. Because you can't count them out of this discussion yet because they just won this game against Clemson, who, as we know, beat Kentucky. The transitive property is back. I see people wanting us to rank South Carolina ahead of the Cats. I don't know if that's going to happen next week, but we at least play this game. But, yeah, I mean, it's just a huge win for them because, like we said, it was going to be hard to completely just – capitalize off the momentum of last season. The roster looks a little bit different. You come out and lose game 1, all of a sudden everybody kind of sours on you, and you're seeing the entire SEC just dominate left and right. And it was South Carolina just kind of sitting back here waiting for the opportunity, and this was it. And they capitalized on it, and I thought just having so many different guys contribute here, we said if they're going to be a team that wins these kind of games in SEC play, they're going to have more than just Colin Murray Boyles doing it, and I think that's where we've gotten to with them is we've seen certain guys step up, but, this was a game where for Miles Studi to have this kind of game was huge because this is what they needed. They needed a spark from the perimeter, and so that was what I thought was most impressive is this was a full team effort here. And, I said I thought this game would be 64-62 or something. Winds up being 91-88. So to prove they could win a game like that too, you'll take that for sure.
A couple things. Miles Studi was big for them last night. I mean, we kind of circled. I said I think Nick Pringle will be a key. He and Colin Murray-Boyles both fouled out. They still won the game in overtime, and Studi had a lot to do with it. Number two, how many losses do you guys think the league has outside the top 80 in KenPom total?
SEC losses to teams outside the top 80 is the question.
I think Chris is frozen again. But
and yep, that is the question. And he's back.
Great.
And he's frozen. This is like the quiz, like the mystery blur, where you're gonna get the big reveal and Chris is gonna be holding up a number. Like all of a sudden he's gonna come back and he's gonna have a huge number just sitting there for you. It's got to be. It's what, probably 2, 3.
Probably one.
I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2.
It's probably not one. It's probably 2 or 3 would be my guess because North Florida's one of them, but there's probably another one too somewhere that we're just not thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyways,
so
I was saying yesterday. Can't make this stuff up. I was saying yesterday, whose game is it going to be, right? Who's going to be that guy that steps up? Studi had 0 points last game. He had 0 points the game before that. He was on like 40 straight minutes on the court of 0 points, and then 5 threes, comes up huge. Zachary Davis, that only 9 minutes, that was his lowest minute total since his freshman year back in 2022-23. I mean, he has been super important. He played double-digit minutes the entire year last year. And Chris, how many losses are outside the top? And he's frozen again. This is unbelievable. I think
this is Chris's game. I think he's playing this like he wants to be the next Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense. I think is what Chris is going for. What a game he's playing with us, folks. Literally, we take things to another level here. Like, we're all playing checkers. Chris is playing chess with these questions. Incredible. So, by the way, if you own a Wi-Fi company anywhere in the world and you would like to sponsor the show, please reach out to caroline.smith@southeastern14.com to see if you can sponsor. And you'll get Chris to read the ad, and it will be tremendous because you'll get all the frustration coming out of his current provider. He'll talk about how great your Wi-Fi is. The best sponsorship we could ever have, a Wi-Fi sponsor at Southeastern 16. All right, let's continue.
Would you like the answer?
Well, we better hurry because we may not get it if you don't tell us.
One loss outside the top 80 in KenPom. That's South Carolina losing to North Florida, unless I have missed one. The next worst loss was A&M losing to UCF. And by the way, both those were opening night.
Wow. That's weird.
Yep. There you go. All right, Max, anything else on the Gamecocks here?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, what a revenge from last year, too. Blowing the lead. They had that one. They had that one, and they blew it. It was almost the reverse. You're like, oh, no, are they going to do it again? But this time now Clemson's coming in here. I'll tell you what, after he banked in that 3, Hunter, and you see Colin Murray-Boyles like, what are you doing? Colin Murray-Boyles was like pissed off at the lack of pressure or whatever they had drawn up defensively. I was like, God, that's just the beginning of the end. But then Morris, now I'm going to say his name wrong. They showed resilience. They did. The broadcast has got to get it down. Is it Ugasuk, Yagusuk? They switch. The broadcast says a different last name every time. But Morris Ugasuk with the 3 ball right out of the OT to put him up by 3. That first bucket of overtime is always so important to get to play with that lead for just at least a possession. It was all the support guys. Ugasuk. See, thank you. There we go. So at least someone's got my back. SE South guy, always looking out for us.
All right. Quickly, Nathan left us a $4.99 super chat. We appreciate it. Again, guys, we will get to your super chat if you leave it. We promise you We'll talk about it. Appreciate the hard work you guys put in, even though watching basketball all day is a dream. I'm sure there are days that it gets tedious. Yes, it happens, but not this year. Last year, years before, sure, but this year it's like every day is Christmas Day here so far in non-conference play. If you're covering the SEC, I mean, we're talking about a historic opportunity here based on what SEC basketball is doing. So we appreciate you, Nathan. Part of the It Just Means More tier on the channel. Sharkensaw has joined.
Hey.
Yeah, he's like, come on. I said earlier, he's like, come on.
Nice.
He thought he'd already joined. He's joining in, and you know what? He's going to get some members-only content this week because we got some big stuff coming your way, guys, and we're going to talk about it towards the end of the show. So hang around for that. If you're a member, we got some fun stuff in the works for you coming up this week. So a little party action maybe for the group. All right. Matt asked earlier too. He's like, when are you guys going to talk about Kentucky? I'm like, Matt, it's one of those weeks where we'd love to talk about Kentucky. We would. They just don't play until Saturday. So we'll talk about them tomorrow because we are going to do a preview for Kentucky, Ohio State. So we'll do that.
Where to next? We had a big injury.
Did we talk about
Yeah,
Auburn?
so-
Right.
Let's talk about Auburn. And I mean, look, we can kind of group these two teams together real quickly. Like Auburn and Tennessee just dominated again, and we're not going to spend 15 minutes on these games, folks. We're just not. Auburn and Tennessee, pure domination. Auburn wins 100-59 over Georgia State. Tennessee beats the Catamounts of Western Carolina 84-36. Let's group that in real quick. You guys, quick thoughts, and then we'll talk about the injury. All right.
I'll start with Tennessee real quick. And I guess I'll just pitch it right to Chris because he called this one from a mile away. Ken Pom MVP of the game, off the bench, 25 minutes, 17 points.
And he's not the guy that almost had the triple-double.
Exactly. So balanced effort from the Vols.
Yeah.
Who was that almost had the triple-double?
Oh, here we go.
Ziegler.
Would you consider him a first-team All-SEC player to this point? I sure would.
He's going to ride this all year.
It's gonna be it's unbearable.
You bet I am. Zakai Ziegler, number one in your hearts, number one on the All-SEC team as well.
D-Stone also had a nice game. He's starting to be a little bit more confident offensively after the first few appearances. He seemed a little bit skittish. D-Stone is here. He's here now.
Western Carolina went 6 of 39 from three. Man.
It's like you at the free throw line.
All kidding aside on Ziegler, I do have something I want to bring up. And I'm the guy that I had Grant Nelson on the first team All-SEC ahead of Ziegler. And I had Ziegler was the first guy on my second team. So just to clarify, that's where I went preseason. I really thought that how do I say this? I know he's a really good player. I thought offensively that he might suffer a little bit with not having Connect to take so much attention. I didn't know that the guards around him, that they had the scores. I didn't know that he would be able to put up dominant type stats. And what has happened, they've gotten more help from Gainey. They've gotten Chaz Lanier having multiple big nights, which, I mean, that wasn't totally unexpected, but we didn't think he was going to be Dalton Connect either, which he hasn't been. But they found ways because I think all of them have gotten better. And that's kind of how that's resolved.
I know it's Western Carolina, but Tennessee had 17 steals last night. 17 steals. Lanier had 4. Meshack had 5. Gainey had 5. I mean, between 3 guys, just between Lanier, Meshack, and Gainey, you've got 14 steals. That is ridiculous. I don't care who you're playing. I mean, there's no Vontarius Woolbright for Western Carolina anymore, but my gosh, 17 steals as a team is ridiculous.
All right, Auburn, and then we'll get to the injury.
I said you're going to see 100. JP Pegues.
So 100.
Last possession. I think we had a comment. Oh, it's going to take me forever to find it, but someone lost the good chunk of change on that last JP Pegues 3 covering the spread for Auburn. They covered a 40-point spread without the best player in the country. That's just ridiculous on its own. 40-point spread without the best player in the country. What?
The depth on this team is something that I think we haven't talked about. I mean, we've talked about it, but like Broome has been so spectacular. That's where our attention has been. We had Evan Mia on the show the other day. We talked about Cardwell and how good he's been. And then let's see, who was it Saturday they had the big shooting game? It was Denver Jones, right?
Yep.
Last night, Chaney Johnson goes 12 of 13 from 2, gets 26 points. I think that it's sometimes you don't get to see it till Broome's out of the game, and last night he went out after 2 minutes. They just – and it's Georgia State. It's not a particularly good Georgia State team, but some of what they can do was on display last night with him out.
Yeah. I mean, their offense just kept doing what they've been doing. Like, I mean, 72% from 2, I think. Got to the free throw line, all those things. Yeah, I mean, what else do we add here? I mean, they just complete domination in the game against Georgia State. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we will talk about the injury and what Bruce Pearl had to say about this. If you're anyone out there, you're concerned, you're worried, it's okay. Don't be concerned or worried. Here's what Bruce Pearl had to say about the injury, and let me see if I can pull it up here. As always, I don't know what I'm doing, but here we go. Hold on. You guys talk for a second, please.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it's not a big deal. When it was a dislocated shoulder, which I think is what it is, I was concerned. I don't know how much. Like I've never dislocated a shoulder. I've done a finger and had a bunch of scar tissue after that. Hopefully that's not the way it works for him.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Start with Johni. Obviously, his right shoulder kind of came right back. He did it a year ago, so he's had some experience with it. We'll take a look at it tomorrow and tell you more. But we hope he's going to be okay.
How will this affect your lineups moving forward if he's out for an extended period?
Well, I don't know. Again, we'll figure it out. We'll know more tomorrow. But if he wouldn't be available, I'm sure Chaney Johnson would be moving in because Chaney could be starting this year very easily. And so it would affect certainly. You lose maybe one of the best players in college basketball, certainly a Player of the Year candidate. But again, we'll know a lot. We'll know a lot more tomorrow.
All right, now hold on. That was one part of the equation. All right, now Max sent me another thing that I'll pull up here shortly. But thoughts on that real quick?
Wasn't that pretty much the same thing? I think.
Oh, is it the same thing? Okay, sorry, I grabbed
same
another one. All right, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna play on Saturday against Purdue. I would be pretty surprised if he does play, but I think in my mind at least, I'm comparing this to kind of the Lamont Butler situation at Kentucky, where you might hold him out. They held him out for the Zags game and the Colgate game. You might hold out Broome for the Purdue and the Monmouth game and bring him back for SEC play. Nothing. I don't expect anything with the labrum. I think we're in the clear there. Just an unfortunate little pop out there.
Blake, was it the same one he hurt last year?
I think it was.
I have no. I'm not sure.
Bruce said he did this last year. So
Okay.
Even if it's not the same one, it's the same injury.
They don't seem worried.
So, yeah. But
I don't know. I heard a little more uncertainty than you guys did.
well, what'd you hear? Tell us.
Uncertainty.
Well, I mean, come on, that's pretty vague. Uncertainty
Well,
is
you're acting like, oh, he's going to be fine. It's not going to be a problem. I'm just saying.
okay.
We'll see.
Chris thinks Broome's going to be out for 2 years.
You heard it here first, folks.
I am always the skeptic on injuries. And maybe it is a baseball fan to me, but I swear, anytime like in baseball you hear an arm injury, and I know it's different, but like it's always the prognosis is almost 80% of the time is worse than whatever they tell you initially. Maybe in basketball it is different, but I'm always concerned when a guy gets hurt, and it's not just and look like Jonas Haydu example, okay? Jonas AD was playing. He was good enough to play, but like he wasn't anywhere near Jonas AD for what, 5 weeks? It's not just like how long does this keep you out. It's how much does it affect you when you get back. I just always have that in the back. I may be totally wrong. I hope in 2 weeks he's fine. It's like it never happened. But I'm just a worrier when it comes to that sort of thing.
Broome tweeted last night, call God, ... just a test of faith. I think he's in good hands.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are thousands of people that are Auburn fans right now that will be lining up with their shoulders as sacrifices to give this man their shoulder. So if he's not okay, then he'll get a new one. It's fine, folks. He'll be all right.
Shoulder transplant. There we go.
Yes, trust me. If there's anyone that can pull it off this year, it's Auburn basketball because they're doing everything else right. So if that's what they got to do, that's what they got to do. So also, and Justin Ferguson brought this up on Twitter, I would also, without playing doctor, note that the fact that he was back out there, like just kind of hanging around.
Yeah.
I would think that's probably, you're probably not going to take a chance, or you're probably doing something else if it's more, but who knows? We'll see. So
They do have the luxury of having a Dylan Cardwell to, not every team has a, extremely reliable backup 5. Well, I know they've been playing them together.
If Johni Broome, look, this is hard to say because like how much of what Dylan Cardwell is able to do is because of the attention that goes to Broome. So it's not exact.
True.
But if you look at his production when he's been on the floor, he has been like an all SEC caliber guy.
His numbers are great.
Per minute he plays, right. And he's an old guy. I think he's a class of 2020. So he's played a lot of basketball, which I think counts for a lot too. To me, I think if you can just get to conference play and he's 90% okay, then I would just, okay. Even if you think he's okay, sit him for Purdue. The next game is who? Monmouth, and then they play the 4th of January. So I'm just – I do not really – I'll even be willing to I think they can win without him. I think they can beat just about anybody without him on the right night. I think their supporting cast, particularly the way they shoot it and what their experience at guard is good enough. But I'm not taking any chances.
Yeah.
Even if it means if I lose a game here, if we had to sit him for another week to make sure that when we get to March, this thing isn't lingering, that's how I handle it.
They do have, not a gauntlet of a start. They have Missouri, Texas, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Georgia to start the first 2-3-ish weeks of January. So it's not as hard as some teams are.
Yeah. And I think technically those were all teams in our bottom half. I think State was 9. We may have underrated State, but it's not. You don't have
teams, but right.
Yeah, you don't have Tennessee, you don't have Kentucky, you don't have Florida in that span.
Yeah.
What's a bottom half in the SEC right now?
Well, I mean it's relative, but it's not. It's not your short list of Final Four contenders.
Well, sure, I agree with that. But anyways, I mean, I think it's like there's nothing else we can say here. I mean, we don't have the injury report. We don't know what it's going to be. Auburn could lose to Purdue on Saturday and still be a number 1 seed. In my opinion, maybe the top number 1 seed, depending. I mean, it's just like they've done so much work to this point. If you were going to have this happen, now is probably not now is probably the best case scenario in terms of when you can get him back and all that kind of stuff. So, they've already done so much work up front that, look, you're not going out to lose on Saturday, but you get my point. Like, if they lose, they're still top 2 or 3 team in the country, and at full strength, they're still the best team in the country, in my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, it's probably the second easiest 2 or 3 week schedules, 2 or 3 week stretch on their schedule all year. The other one's behind them. That was the mid-November.
All right.
What's your next?
Everything else quickly we're going to run through because we got to get to some stuff before we hop off elsewhere. We also got to talk about tonight's game, so we got to speed through these. Max, take it wherever you want. What else you want to talk about?
Carlos is in the house. Dogs. Hail State. 10-1. Nice win
Ooh.
last night. Cruised against the Chippewas, I believe Central Michigan is. It was finally a nice cruise of a second half. If you guys did not see the Cam Matthews stat line, it was an all-timer. It was an all-timer, guys. 30 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 4 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds. I mean, it was a Cam Matthews vintage. We may not see a better Cam Matthews stat line. The committee was just drooling over it. But they knock it out of the park from 3, 11-29, Mississippi State, rolling into the big one against Memphis. Big one. Emphasize that, against Memphis.
Were you disappointed Cam Matthews didn't foul a little bit more?
Yeah, not enough fouls, and I would have liked like an 0 for 1 from 3. Maybe a cheeky little, back iron. But
Yeah, we know how it works here, Matt. Anytime Max gets to talk about Mississippi State, you see the smiles galore. But yes, we said that one could be a little close, and it wound up being Mississippi State just handling their business. That's what you like to see in those kind of games. Memphis coming up on Saturday. We'll talk about that one heading into the weekend. Like you said, huge game for Mississippi State in that one. And then Missouri. Let's talk about them because
Blake.
Listen, I was getting texts.
We warned you.
I was getting texts from people. They're like, "How did you know?" I'm like, "Trust me, I just knew. I knew this was going to be a game. All right." And I could tell from the start that it was going to be this way. And again, you take the combination of Jacksonville State having a high volume scorer, well coached, those kind of things. Like that's one of the recipes. That's kind of the ingredients, right, that you need to pull off an upset on the road in this kind of setting. And so certainly was dicey there for a bit for Missouri, but they find a way to win this one. Max has been waiting for this all season long. The Jacob Cruz game. 19 points in 20 minutes for Jacob Cruz, 6 of 9 from 3. Think about this, and we talk about the depth with Missouri. He's one guy this year we've been like, you know what, maybe we thought he'd have a bigger role and all that, but it's Dennis Gay's just like, he's just pulling them from anywhere and just getting guys to come in and score 20 points, right? That's what I keep saying about this Missouri team is I know the rotations, the people are still like all over the place maybe at times, but look at this. Like they can mix and match, and then you have the luxury of having a guy like this step up and hit 6 threes in a game. And, that's a huge part of them winning the game, period. Just based on how this game played out. They go 12 of 25 from 3. Of course, 6 of them, like we said, were from Jacob Cruz. But you get a big game from Mark Mitchell. Like Trent Pierce, he's someone else. Like we've not talked a lot about him, but I think the more now he gets involved, now back-to-back games, he goes for 24 against LIU, goes for 12 here, grabs some rebounds. They have got a lot of different options. And remember, they're still doing this without Caleb Grill. We don't know when he's going to be back. But, they just feel like the ultimate team, meaning that, like, on any night, you've just got so many different guys that can do this. And that was impressive because, I think Jacksonville State, very well coached. I know the record is what it is, but, Pierre's a really good player. And I thought this was a nice win for Missouri based on how it started and how they were able to, we talked about resiliency earlier, find a way to win a game like this.
Cruz had 4 games over 30 last year at Tennessee Martin. I know the OVC is awful, and then like another 10 or 12 over 20 in addition to that. So he's a guy that could put him up in bunches. I was kind of wondering, like, where was that going to go? The thing we've said with Missouri all along is they've just got so much experience at guard. And this may be one of those things, again, where you've got an injury to Grill that opens up some time to let you see what you got with the guy that wasn't going to get some minutes otherwise, and maybe that helps you down the road. And we still don't know on Cruz, do we? Grill, excuse me, not Cruz. Max.
Yeah, Grill is TBD. It was. Yep. Every time I look it up, it's indefinitely.
When I don't hear anything on a guy for a while, that always concerns me. When it's always just indefinite, that feels to me like that doesn't usually end well. I hope I'm wrong with that one.
Yeah, hope he comes back soon. But we came into the season thinking like Tony Perkins was going to be the engine of this team, Big Ten point guard, physical, tough, 6'4", has a height advantage. It's Anthony Robinson's one of the best players in the country right now. That's not an exaggeration. Evan Mia's got him.
He's top 5 in offensive and defensive rating in the SEC.
He has been unbelievable. He has the number 2 free throw rate in the nation.
Jeez.
Okay. And then not far behind him is Mark Mitchell at 43rd. And then between Mark Mitchell and Anthony Robinson, those two shoot more free throws than like some SEC teams shoot as a whole. Just those two guys, just Mitchell and Robinson. And then, so you take those two, just consistent, physical, you're going to get the other team in foul trouble. Then you add a Cruz. You add Grill, maybe get back into the mix. Tamar Bates hits a few shots. Tony Perkins hit 2 threes last night. This team is starting to I'm liking them. I'm liking where they're headed. Evan Mia has Ant Robinson fourth most efficient player in the nation right now.
Yep. He's been fantastic. And I think Missouri is one of the more intriguing teams heading into SEC play just because obviously it's, the vibe feels different now, but
yes,
it's, their offense is coming along. And I think that's where I'm most intrigued is because offensively they're doing some really good things right now. And so we'll see. Again, the competition's they got one game left against Alabama State on December 30th. That is not against, teams that are going to be NCAA tournament caliber power conference teams, right? They play Illinois on Sunday, and then Alabama State SEC play begins, which, by the way, they start at Auburn. Congratulations on that draw. But, yeah, so, that's kind of where we are with the Tigers right now.
One last thing on Mizzou real quick. Shout out to Drew King, Power Mizzou. Missouri is on a 10-game winning streak for the first time since 13-14. This is the longest winning streak in over 10 years. Longest winning streak in over 10 years for Missouri. So
13-14. Wow, that was what? 710 years ago?
Feels like it.
You didn't get the joke, Max. It's okay.
What are you saying?
13-14. Not 2024. It's 13-14. That's 700 years ago, man.
Oh, give me a break.
My goodness. That's what a long time.
I
Get this guy out of here.
Come on. You guys gotta lighten up a little bit. All right? The SEC is doing incredible things.
Yeah.
That is you know what, I can't even deny that. You're right. Shame on me for making a Chris Lee joke. Never again. So Pete got it. Max got owned. Take that,
Max.
I'm gonna act like my screen froze.
There you go. All right, let's quickly run through these games. I'm sorry for everybody else, but we're on a time crunch here, and we like to spend some time on the bigger games. But let's run through everything else. All right. Hold on, are we almost done? Ole Miss 74, Southern 61. Max, called it. The Jaguars kept it a little interesting here.
They always do. Chris, you said that Brakefield had gotten injured. I read online that he had come back to the game. Did it look bad?
Here's my night. I'm watching multiple games. I've got them on a second screen at one point. I look up and he's heading off the floor. And so that's all I saw. I think my attention then turned to games that I thought were actually going to be games. And so before we got this game, I was Googling to see if anything had been mentioned. So I guess he was fine.
Yeah, no Matt Morrell in this game. So you had Juju step up 6 of 7 from 3. It seems like it's every other game now. It's either Juju Murray or it's Sean Padula. One of them's having 6 threes. It's unreal at this point. The double point guard for Mississippi is it's a powerhouse right now. And no one's talking about Davin Barnes. He's quietly one of the best guard rebounders in the SEC right now. Keep an eye on Davin Barnes. The bully ball committee is slowly starting to take notice of this just 6'4" rebounder here for the Rebels, liking what we're seeing out of Barnes.
Morrell's got a lower body injury. Questionable for Southern Miss, according to a quick search of the interwebs here.
Hold on a second. That was December 14th when they played
Okay,
Southern Miss.
I was doing I didn't check today. I was because I think this is the second time he's been out this year then, obviously.
He's been dealing with something. He's been in and out of the lineup.
Well, they play Queens on Saturday. So, and then you don't play again for another week where you play at Memphis on the 28th. So, any kind of situation like that, I mean, I think you're gonna be cautious heading into a bigger game in a couple weeks. So
yeah,
he missed South Alabama November 12th. Didn't play that one at all. Came back, played regular minutes, and then he's missed 3 now. So
yeah, in and out.
Is it the same thing?
I don't know. We'll have to see. What else we got?
all right, and then the only thing we haven't mentioned, right, is LSU Stetson. Is that the only other game? Yeah. LSU 99-53. I looked up with, what was it? I don't know. I looked up with like a
47-11 at one point, I think.
No, but like before that, like I'm looking up like 50 seconds left in the first half. I want to say Stetson hit a 3 to score 10 at the half, but it was like 40-7 with 40 seconds left in the first half, and I'm like, I had to do a double take. I'm like, wait a second, are we sure about this? Are they missing a number? And I mean, we said coming in, look, Stetson was 1-9 or something, I think, but I can't say I expected that. But maybe that says some things. So I don't know. But we played the score game. Oklahoma beat Stetson 85-64. LSU beat Stetson 99-53. Should we rank LSU ahead of Oklahoma? People are saying it. I don't know.
There's word on the street.
They're talking. All right. Thoughts, Max, on the Hatters and the Tigers?
Yeah, when I looked up for the first time at this game, it was 5 to like 30 something. And I was just like, someone's got to throw a white towel onto the floor from Stetson. LSU cheated though. They literally put
confirmed. LSU actually had a lid on the rim. That explains it. Well, all right.
There we go. No, but as I was watching, it was just 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 for LSU. I mean, they were shooting the absolute lights out. Yeah. Can we get there's got to be a point in the non-conference when if it's a bye game and you're up by like 35 or something, just start running the clock. I just end up feeling bad for the other. I mean, my gosh.
Do you know what the game time was on this? Got to be the shortest game time of the season for any game. Hour and 42 minutes. Hour and 42. Had to be the shortest game time of the season.
See, they understood.
Enjoy it now, folks, because
SEC
games are about to be 2.5 hours. So, guaranteed.
Oh, good Lord.
All right. Done here? All right. Now we got to speed through the next thing because we still got multiple things to get to. This may be an extended show this morning. Not our plans, but 3 games tonight. Alabama heads to North Dakota. The Grant Nelson game going to take place tonight. And I mean, North Dakota, if you want a quick scouting report, they're 4-8. They have played Notre Dame. It's the only SEC transitive property opponent, maybe, because Notre Dame played Georgia.
Florida State. And Ole Miss.
Well, yeah, I was talking about the transitive property.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, so I don't have a lot on this matchup, but Alabama's going to head to North Dakota to see what Grant Nelson can do there. Do you want to? Here's a trivia question for you. Does anybody want to guess who North Dakota plays after they play Alabama? Who's their next opponent?
Oh, I don't know.
I've cheated.
Oh, of
two next
course
opponents
you
that are
have.
interesting.
There's a shocker.
Well, there's something about who they just played too that's kind of interesting. Like, how did this happen?
Is it the Panthers of Prairie View?
No. It's the South Dakota School of Mines.
What?
Yeah. Somebody's got to do some research on that. I need to know what that's about.
There's a Colorado
letdown
School
spot
of
there.
Mines. Like, we should do a School of Mines ranking and see how that comes out.
Yeah, why are I know this is the Grant Nelson homecoming, and I know that Oates actually, I don't have the quote in front of me, but Oates said, we did this for Grant. But why aren't they doing it against State? The Bison.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing
why
that.
are
Yeah,
they?
because he
why are
played
they
North
playing
Dakota State. I just think it's probably one of those where you don't necessarily want him to play his former team, but you want to get him back, you know, in that location. Because if he played a former team, that just seems kind of, hey, we took your player. We're gonna come beat you by 30. I think that's probably more of a, a gentleman's agreement type thing. So
I'll be looking for Youngblood. This is a game this could be a big game for him to get his confidence going and to get a little bit comfortable in the lineup.
I forgot about that. Can you imagine Chris Youngblood getting his legendary start at Alabama in North Dakota? It's cold. It's winter. The heat. Chris Youngblood bringing the heat in North Dakota tonight.
I like it.
For the matchup against the Fighting Hawks. All right, the other games.
Not to get us too off track, but I got a question.
Oh,
Why did North Dakota just play UTSA in back-to-back games?
I don't
They're not
know,
even in
Chris.
the same league.
I can't tell you. I can't even tell you that.
Here. All right, move on.
I think you need to make a call. You need to make a call and find out. Vanderbilt plays the Citadel. They are. I think they're almost the worst team, and just
their Stetson level
metrics-wise.
bad.
353. They are coached by Ed Conroy. Yeah, I don't have a lot on this one either. Vanderbilt should win this one big. Although the Citadel did lose by 9 at Boston College. So South Carolina played Boston College. Do the math there, because we know I'm not going to. And then we got the big one, Oklahoma and Michigan. This is an opportunity. Oklahoma, don't be the team that drops this one. You got to keep the streak going. Oklahoma and Michigan at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Teams are deciding to set up shop in Max Barr's neighborhood right now because they feel the vibe. SEC teams around Max Barr are winning games. Oklahoma going to be the other one. Big matchup against Michigan, who we saw just lose to Arkansas recently.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. They're 2 7-footers. They'll put on the floor at the same time, and Oklahoma is not particularly big. The strength of their team is not in the paint.
Yeah, this is like opposite matchups for Michigan and Oklahoma. Like both teams would love to see the other one, which is it's kind of weird. Michigan would love to see a team like Oklahoma that ranks outside the top 200 in defensive rebounding and 2-point defense. Not the best down low, but then you go on the flip side, and Michigan. We just saw them against Arkansas, and look what that Arkansas offense was able to put up 89. That's not a high flying, well-oiled machine of an Arkansas offense, and they put up, what was it, like 66 points within a 20-minute span or something like that. That Arkansas had. So from a very good perimeter shooting team like Oklahoma, you're looking like you're in for a good night trying to drag some of those big guys out on the perimeter. So both teams, I think, are like, this is a good matchup for us. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, Wolf is such a tough cover. I don't know. Is there a player in the country quite like him? That big that can handle the ball that well?
Yeah, it's a select few.
Yeah.
Of big, like, imagine Danny Wolf playing. Oh, Blake's gotta change the headphones. Imagine Danny Wolf, and I'm not saying Amari Williams or Brandon Garrison aren't good. They are phenomenal doing what they do. But imagine Danny Wolf with Mark Pope. How fun that would be. That would be just a match made in heaven.
Fit.
Oh, yeah, perfect fit. So, yeah, but with this game, Chris, Oklahoma. Undefeated, but I feel like people still kind of have their doubts about Oklahoma. Me personally, I'm not sure why. They've taken care of business with everything that they had to do. And Jeremiah Fears is probably the least talked about freshman in the nation. I actually had him when we did our awards as SEC Freshman of the Year so far. But I was wondering, what do you think about Oklahoma? Are you buying them already, or is this the game that you need to see first?
Well, I don't think it's that easy. I think part of the issue with Oklahoma, like you look at the teams they beat, okay? Arizona stands out. I'm not sure Arizona's that good. Arizona hasn't beaten anybody of consequence this year.
Yeah.
That may turn out okay. Louisville, really hit and miss.
Right.
Now, they did go beat Oklahoma State on a neutral floor, which is not a great Oklahoma. They've taken care of business so far. They've won.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. And I'm not going to – I don't think it's an all or nothing, right? I'm not going to sit here and say, well, if they don't beat Michigan tonight, then I'm out on it. Because, it is a unique matchup. You don't see two teams that put 7-footers on the floor, especially one that can handle the ball the way Wolf can, at the same time. So it might just be like one of those games that's a bad matchup. Now, look, if they win that one tonight, if they beat Michigan, then I'm absolutely going to bump them up a notch in my head in terms of what I think they are and what I think they can be. But I'm not going to be out on them if they lose to Michigan just because of the uniqueness of the matchup. Is that fair?
Yeah. No, 100%. I was just thinking, like, looking at Oklahoma's body of work and take away. I know Florida just had a big win last night, so they got their kind of, they're out of the they haven't played anybody talk that was surrounding the Gators. If you were to just flip the team names, same resume, flip the names. Oklahoma the Sooners are the Florida Gators this year, and flip it. I mean, are we really talking about this team like they're 38th in Ken Pom, undefeated, 10-0, beat every Power 5 they've played? Just beat Oklahoma State in a rivalry game by 15 points on a neutral. Like, if this team name isn't Oklahoma and it's any other, classic SEC brand, are we talking, I feel like we would be talking way more highly about this team.
I think that's a fair question. In my mind, they have more a cast of guys that fit together cohesively, that are quality players. I think Florida's got more dudes. Martin, Clayton. So that's where I separate the argument, but I know what you're trying to say.
The point I was just trying to say, like, if they had kind of that familiar SEC brand as a name with the body of work, we would probably think they're better.
Did we all not just kind of punt on Oklahoma before the season? We say, all right, they got some parts on paper. They've got a coach who's done some good things at a school where you don't. Well, I mean, Loyola Chicago to the Final Four. Nobody does that. But we haven't seen them go night in, night out. We don't know their roster because we haven't seen them play like we've seen the SEC teams. I was going to say we don't know how they'll do night in and night out in a grinded out league, but they were in the Big 12, so that's not admissible into the discussion here. But I mean, I think the biggest thing with them was we hadn't seen them play to know what they had night in, and because we watched the SEC. I mean, we spend so much time on that. It's not that we don't watch other leagues, but you've only got so many hours in the day.
Yeah. Blake, thoughts on Sooners?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to keep picking the SEC until somebody proves me wrong.
Smart man.
Although I think it's a tough matchup. I'll say that. And I know my headphones are going to go out shortly, so that's why I'm speed talking. But
where's the game?
I'm going to Charlotte.
5 minutes from my apartment, right here.
Okay. I'm gonna go Michigan on this one. I just think I don't know that Oklahoma's got the size to counter what Michigan can do.
I think that's the story of the game.
Yeah.
So I'll go Oklahoma.
As you should. All right. So we got some speed round here. SC Scout guy earlier. We're going to do some facts on the way out, and I got to give you an ad read. You've been waiting for it, folks. Don't worry. It's coming. And then we got to give you a special members announcement. All right. South Carolina has 3 ACC wins. Same amount ACC won the SEC Challenge. My goodness. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Sharkensaw from earlier, as we know, a new member here at the channel. Florida given some validation. We've called him a Sweet 16 Elite 8 dark horse back in September. Look like it right now. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Max, this one's for you. I know you started this one earlier.
Yeah. Hey, happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us there. 17 seconds left. Pegues hits a 3 to crush the soul. It happens to the best of us. Happens.
A bad beat, as we call it there. And then Tony, we appreciate Tony working hard. Still working on a heating sponsor for me. So far, all he's gotten is a Malaysian space heater. So
Nice.
we're not getting any money from that, but we appreciate Tony's hard work here at the channel trying to keep us warm, for sure. All right. Hold on a second, Nathan. Let's not get carried away. We sealed it. You're betting Oklahoma. Let's calm down. Let's not get too carried away here.
Sooners.
Yeah. So I know some people are asking, Barry's asking here, thoughts on Auburn, Purdue without Broome. We will have an Auburn versus Purdue preview coming up probably tomorrow, or we may wait until Friday, depending on when we get some injury news on Broome. But we did talk about that earlier if you want to go back and check that out, Barry. We talked about that probably about 30 minutes or so ago. So you can watch it on the replay here shortly. All right. Before we get to the members stuff, Max, I was thinking about it. And, you know, I don't even know what I was thinking about. But I'll tell you this. I got a call. I got a call from someone, and, you know, it was someone at Sanders Logistics, Max. You know why they called me? You know why they called? They called and said, we're running out of trucks for all the people at Southeastern 16 who are wanting to move. They said, we've got people moving by the hour, every single hour. We've got multiple people who are trying to move, and they're calling us at Sanders Logistics, your friends and mine. I mean, think about that. We have convinced, I guess, you know, maybe thousands of people to move with Sanders Logistics. But have no fear, because Sanders Logistics, formerly known as Ted R. Sanders Moving, the leader among moving companies in Nashville, Tennessee, and surrounding area, you know that by now. Their team of professional movers are focused on delivering efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price. They may be running out of trucks because you guys are calling them every 5 minutes to move across the country and back. But they are going to make sure that they have enough trucks. They're ordering 6.8 billion special trucks to get you guys where you need to go. I mean, 6.8 billion earlier with the bets. Now we got 6.8 billion here. They're going to take care of you, because I'm sure 6.8 billion people are wanting in on this deal here with efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price. If you're moving across town or across the country, Sanders Logistics, they got you covered. You know that. Come on. They're not going to run out of trucks for you guys. They may for somebody else, but they're not going to do it for Southeastern 16. Visit them at tedrsandersmoving.com. How about that?
Blake, Nathan is wondering if there's any truth to this statement. Maybe you have a witness testimony of
Yeah, I moved yesterday. Yeah. I'm in a different location. Yeah. Yep. So I'm currently in North Dakota getting ready for Alabama, North Dakota tonight. So
nice.
That's where I'm at.
Nice.
And the heat, Tony, I mean, there's not a lot of heat. I mean, because it's a little colder here. So, yeah, I'm currently doing this from North Dakota. So, I can confirm that there is just, I mean, these guys, they do it all. Your friends and mine, Sanders Logistics.
We're working on expanding into South Dakota School of Mines location.
May be there for that game too. Who knows? So we'll find out. All right, members, if you're part of the It Just Means More tier, if you're not, then shame on you, to be honest. But I'm just kidding. We love you all. But here's the deal. So we've decided, as we said, we're going to do some more members-only content. And while I'm telling you about that, remember, visit our guys, tedrsandersmoving.com in the comments there. But we're going to do a members-only Christmas party. We're going to have some fun with this one. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you watched the Southeastern 16 hangout that we did, what was that, last week? The Christmas party for the friends of the It Just Means More tier at Southeastern 16. We're going to do that soon. Date has not been set just yet, but it will be before Christmas. We've also got a new members-only video we're going to get to you guys in the next couple of days. And we've got some other stuff in the works. The watch-alongs are probably going to start after Christmas. So we're thinking the watch-alongs are probably going to starting SEC play, Max. That's probably a good bet I think we should do for that. So
it's a busy time. It's a
busy time of year. Yeah, so we're probably going to start the watch-alongs then, but think about it. Every game's going to mean more this year, so it's perfect for the It Just Means More tier at Southeastern 16. Join on in if you want. Hit that join button. $3.99 a month. It's just a donation tier, but now we're giving you extra content. What more could you ask for? There you go. So, and no, I can confirm it is not a free OnlyFans site. This is not anything. This will not be a Christmas party of that level, folks. It will be a legitimate Christmas party. Clothes will be on, and it will be worth your time. I'll tell you that. So, We'll talk a lot of fun stuff there. But all right, that's it.
Thank you for watching. Remember, join the channel. We're trying to get to 6.8 billion members. But if we get to 6.8 billion members, think of the stuff we could have Christmas parties every day here.
We're close.
6.8 billion.
We just need about 6.8 billion more of you to join, and we'll be there. So we're getting there.
Blake, we'll be back. We will be back.
Who knows? Probably tomorrow. We'll probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, and then as usual, you'll get the single video previews for the weekend. I know we're going to do one in Kentucky, Ohio State, Auburn, Purdue, maybe other games. I'll have to look at it. I'm not sure, but we will.
Mizzou Illini on Sunday.
Yeah, that's another one we probably got to do. So we'll have some fun with it. So Steven, look at Steven jumping in. Just became a YouTube member. It just means more to Steven. It just means more to us. So, yep, we'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.
I hear I've got football content to do today. Bowl games. Bowl games are started. We had, three bowl games already, I think. Memphis won last night.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, they did. My
Basketball
10-year-old
on
son
last night.
keeps up with this. We did an ESPN Bowl Challenge. We're 3-0. So he's
It's a
very
basketball
excited
conference.
about this.
Come on.
That's right.
Did football have a historic year? They did not.
No.
Get out of here.
All right. Back with more stuff. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you don't mind. That helps us out. For Blake Lovell and Max Barr, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16 presented by BetOnline.